Hello, everyone. Good morning if you are here on Pacific time with me, and good afternoon otherwise. If you guys could just hop into the chat there on the right-hand side and let me know that you can hear me and see me all right, I would appreciate it. Just give me a couple notes over there. Can you guys hear me? Okay, awesome. Okay, great. Cool. So this is our money mindset webinar, which is part of our Prepare Now, Thrive Later series that we've been working on the past couple weeks. So this is our second in this series. We're very excited today. So probably should introduce myself. I am Mac. I'm a customer success manager here at HoneyBook. So we are hosting this webinar today alongside Shannah Compton Game, who I am so excited to have alongside me here today. She is a complete powerhouse, which we'll get into introducing her in just a couple of seconds. Wanted to go through a couple little housekeeping items before we dive in a little bit further. So if you guys are not familiar with Crowdcast, that is how we're hosting everything today. So you'll see the chat window over there in the right-hand side. That will be a great place for you guys to ask any questions. We have a couple HoneyBookers in there. I know Katie, looks like Romy is in there as well. So we've got a couple people who can help us out with questions because Shannah and I will be busy, obviously, chatting and kind of showing you guys the ropes. So we won't be able to hop in there. We will hopefully have around 10 minutes towards the end to be able to go through any questions as well. And you guys will really be able to spend some of that time going through info with Shannah there. And then we will also have our working session from 11:15 Pacific time to 11:45 today. And that'll be our Zoom call where I'll be there kind of guiding you guys through actually how to implement some of the tools we'll be talking about into your HoneyBook account. So definitely be sure to hang around. We'll give you guys a chance to go grab a snack, whatever, grab a glass of water, and then come back and then we'll start working on the accounts there. Couple other things. If you guys at any point have any issues like the screen is frozen or it seems blurry, or you can't hear anymore, the best way to resolve that is actually just to refresh this same exact Crowdcast page, and that'll usually bring it back full force. So that's always a good rule of thumb to kind of follow there. Let's see what else. Oh, if you guys have no idea what the heck HoneyBook is, HoneyBook is a business management software aimed to help you kind of streamline your whole booking process with your clients. So taking you from very first inquiry all the way through sharing pricing information, all of your communications back and forth, invoicing, contracts, questionnaires, all that stuff, and just keeping it really consolidated in one place. So that's kind of my little brief on HoneyBook if you're new. I think that pretty much covers it. The next piece here is I just want to introduce Shannah. You guys, I'm so excited for you to meet her if you're not familiar with her. She is so amazing and so fun to work with. We've been working together for the past couple weeks, getting this webinar together, and I have just so enjoyed chatting with her. She's a finance guru. She has her own podcast, and she is just so fun to work with. So I am really excited to bring her on today. So I'm going to invite her on screen now to come and meet everybody, because I know I probably will not do her justice in introducing her. So I want to let her introduce herself a little bit.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, and yourself? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and talk about what is my favorite subject. Maybe not everybody's, but money. So yeah, I'm just so excited for this.
Awesome. I am going to let you actually start sharing your slides now. I think that's probably the best way to dive in. But yeah, I know I said it a million times, but I'm just so excited that we're doing this today.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Uh,
got the slides up. We're all ready to roll. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, again, it's so great to be here. My name is Shannah Game, and I am a lot of things, probably like a lot of you that are on this webinar. I kind of call myself like a jack of all trades. Um, I am a certified financial planner, which, if you don't know anything about financial planners, it's kind of the highest echelon of financial planning. I had to pass this crazy exam and sort of become a ninja at all things money. I have an MBA as well. Like Max said, I host a podcast called Millennial Money that we're going to talk a little bit, obviously, today about mindset and taking risks. And that was something that I took a big risk on 5 years ago. Someone said, you should do a podcast. And I thought, who in the world would want to listen to me like babble on for hours and hours about money? And we're like 15 million downloads later, 5 years later. So I guess it's proof, Mac, right, that people actually do want to talk about money.
1,000%. And I know you touch on it a lot in your podcast too, but like it is such a taboo topic. So I totally get that it would be something that's like, oh my gosh, do people actually want to hear about this? I'm not really sure. But like that's the reason why it's so successful, right? Is because people like are dying to talk about these taboo things that like people don't necessarily know how to tap into. So we're like
Yeah.
so grateful for you for that.
Thank you. Well, yeah, well, obviously we're going to talk about it a lot, but I tell people that money touches all aspects of our lives. So, your personal life, your business life, pretty much everything, somehow money is involved. So when we talk about mindset and money, I mean, it's so critical that we understand money from that point of view. So on the podcast, that's what we talk about, like all aspects of life, because that's really, I think, what makes money come off spreadsheets and come off that feeling of like panic and fear and shame, and really bring it to life in a new way. So I myself, like, admittedly, have struggled with this money mindset thing that we're going to talk about today. I mean, this is something that's very near and dear to my own heart. And 2 years ago, October 2018, I had a really weird freak thing happen. I was waiting to go in a yoga class, which is like the most, somber environment,
Yeah.
and suddenly became deaf in my left ear. It was just like someone had flipped a light switch, if you will. And over, now we're almost 2 years into this, and I'm deaf in this left ear, can't hear anything. That's why I don't have a ear plug in. And I have chronic tinnitus, which is like static that is always in my head, like TV static, if you will. So I really, on this journey of trying to figure out how to live with this new condition, I really started to dive headfirst even deeper into the mindset piece. What is the power of our mindset? How does it play into things? Because I no longer had a choice. I had to figure this mindset thing out. Otherwise, if I stress out, my ear gets worse. There's all sorts of things that happen to my body now that are new. So last October, I had just had it on my heart that I needed to bring to life a product that I had been basically using myself in like all sorts of just, plain journals. And so I this month, actually 2 days ago,
Yeah.
launched it on Kickstarter called the Money Mindset Journal. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today is, pieces that I have infused in this journal after working with hundreds of people for years, and then my own struggle with this money mindset piece. And so I started my first business when I was 19 in college. So probably like a lot of you on this webinar, I sort of feel like I came out of the chute an entrepreneur, and just always coming up with ideas. So it's kind of in my nature to constantly create new things. So that's just a little bit about me. I just wanted you to understand kind of the backstory and why money mindset is so passionate for me.
Totally. Such an incredible story.
Well, I wanna hear from everyone here. I would love for you to put your favorite emoji in the chat box of what comes to mind when you think about money worries, because we all have these money worries. I love this like picture of this dog here.
Honestly, it's such a quarantine mood too.
Yes, yes. And it's how I feel, a lot of days. I mean, a lot of us are struggling right now with our business. We're having to reinvent things. We're having to think about things differently. And a huge piece of that is mindset. And so, I think what we're going to talk about today is really what I believe like the number one secret to like business and personal success. And it's something that isn't normally in the narrative when we talk about like, well, how do you grow your business? How do you get more customers? How do you know all of those things? Mindset, I believe, is really at the core of doing that. And so, I had these questions like, why do money worries get the best of me? And why is it so hard to achieve goals, even small ones each day? And I think during this quarantine time, you would probably agree, Mac, like we're all asking ourselves these questions, like different variations of these
Oh my
questions.
gosh. Yeah. When it's like some days are good days and some days are bad days, and like it's such a roller coaster, man. And that's like where this whole series stemmed from too, is like we wanted to tap into that and be like, how can HoneyBook help? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, I totally feel that.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the most powerful things, I am what I call like a recovering certified financial planner. I no longer private practice, but I spent 12 years working with clients and primarily with female entrepreneurs. But I worked with people who made, or I should say, who have like, $100 million in assets, all the way down to people who were just like getting out of college, just getting started. And the beauty of that was I started to see trends that emerged with people like across the board. So regardless of like how much money they made or how old they were or what their job title was, they all were struggling with this idea around mindset. And it was this like really weird thing that people would, and maybe you can, when you're listening to this, maybe it's something you can relate to yourself, where maybe you have a goal that you've been trying to achieve like forever and ever, and it could be monetary wise. Maybe it's growing your business. Maybe it's something like debt, or you're trying to buy a house and you just can't quite like get the momentum behind it. And so I started to see these trends that people would, over and over again, kind of get stuck in the same loop. And then when we brought like the mindset piece in there, when they started to really understand some things that were blocking them and keeping them stuck, it was like one of those like aha moments. And suddenly things would start to shift. And we could spend like hours and hours like of me sharing stories about that happening for people, but it was this really powerful thing that made me start to think like, okay, there is something really, really substantial and serious to this idea of mindset.
Totally. I love too that you always talk about how, like, no matter what financial situation someone's in, from like hundreds of millions of dollars down to like just getting started with your financial health, and like everybody is kind of having the same struggles. Like, that is so reassuring to hear. Like,
Yeah, I know, and I like to share it because I feel like because we don't talk about money, really, it's not something that, I mean, we're doing it right now, which is amazing. And everybody who's on here, like serious big congrats, because this is not something that we normally sit around with our friends and talk about money, because there is that like shame and guilt and fear. But we need to, because there's actually power in releasing some of this. There's power in being able to say, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I need help figuring this out, or I tried this and it just didn't work.
yeah.
I think there's just such power in releasing things like that. And so yeah, I'm just so happy that we're talking about this right now.
Yeah.
So this was me, and maybe you can relate. I was the person who was like happy on the outside, but on the inside, I was not so happy. I was struggling with my own money mindset. I share this story often on my podcast that a few years ago, and for many years, actually, I had this like complete phobia of looking at my ATM receipts. So I would like go to the ATM and, would spit out the receipt and I would like fold it up and put it in my wallet. And I would never look at the receipts, which it was crazy because I'm a certified financial planner. Like, I know that you're supposed to look at these things.
Yeah.
But it was just my own mindset keeping me stuck in a loop because for some reason I'd created this like whole movie story in my head of if I look at those numbers, then everything's going to start falling apart. Like before I know it, I have myself, I've lost my business. I've lost, and it's crazy that your mind has that kind of power to do those sorts of things. But it really does.
Totally. Kind of, I mean, not at all on the same scale that you're talking about, but I literally, like, I kind of did the same thing with the webinar today, or like any webinar that I do. I never look at the number of attendees until like right before. Because it's like 2 people, I'm like, oh, okay, we're just going to have a quick chat. But if it's like 600, then I'm like, well, okay, we're just going to do this. It's like the same.
Right. No, and that's awesome because we all have our own versions of this that are really real for us. And it doesn't have to involve anything about money as well. It could be, the simplest things for us are those things that like can keep us stuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about like unlodging ourselves from those places that really do keep us stuck. So, thinking about everybody that I had worked with and my own self when I started to really understand and put this mindset piece together, I came up with this formula, if you will, that we all know you have to have goals, you have to have money goals, and if in terms of your business, what is my revenue goal for this day, for this month, for this year. Obviously, right now we're all having to breathe a little bit about some of those things and reinvent. But we understand money goals. The pieces that start to get a little shaky for a lot of us are, putting daily action. And I talk about this idea of intentional goals. So really like waking up in the morning and saying, okay, what is my goal that is right for me today? Not, whatever Mac, your goal is, or my competition, or whatever that may be. What is the goal that is right for me, that is going to help propel me and get me and my business where it needs to go? So setting those daily action goals. And a lot of times people will, let's say your revenue goal for this year is $250,000, just purely like making up numbers here. And you look at that number and we're sitting here in May and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like we are in crazy time right now. There's no way I'm going to be able to achieve that goal. Well, if the goal is that big, it gets that big in your head. But how do we back out of that goal and how do we break it down to daily little steps? So each day you're marching towards that goal and it's just a little bit each day versus that big, huge number in your head. So you can apply that to any goal that you have, that idea of just do one little thing today, one little step, right? And that goes a long way to rewiring your mindset, rewiring some of those things that get tripped up in your head. But then we've got to also put this mindset piece in there. Mm-hmm. And we've got to understand, where that comes from. I read I want to share with you 2 things I read today. I was like, oh, this is like perfect for our webinar. I was actually using the money mindset journal that I use it every morning that I created. And the quote, there's a quote every day. And the quote today was from the famous surfer, Kelly Slater. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's kind of like, the guy in the surfing world. And his quote was, "It's all about where your mind's at." And I was like, oh, that's perfect for today. Because it really is true. We can convince ourselves out of things and we can convince ourselves into things. So just understanding that we actually have the power of this. We can't change our situation like immediately.
Yeah.
But we can change maybe the way we think about it. And then maybe changing that moves us in the direction we need to go. So then I was also on social media, and I don't know who knows Brendan Bouchard, but he's
Oh, yeah.
kind of a famous speaker. And he said, it's all about mindset and habits and momentum. And I thought that was just such a great thing to share, because it just, so many people are speaking to this
Yeah.
power of a mindset, right?
Totally. And I almost like too, while you're talking about it, I'm like, it's almost like fake it till you make it, but a better version. Like,
Right?
right? Because fake it till you make it kind of sounds like, oh, like you're an imposter or something, but I love this version of it.
Yeah, because it's all about trying to be the best you, and trying to be real and authentic in your life and in your business. And I think it's easy to get lost in somebody else's goals or even mindset, right? Like, how many times have we been in a room with somebody who is, whether it's our partner or our roommate or whatever, a friend, and they're like not feeling good about the day, and sooner or later you're thinking, oh, I'm not feeling good about the day
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Like, suddenly you've picked up their mindset.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so it's so easy to do. So all of that put together was why I decided I needed to create this product around mindset, which we're going to, again, sort of pull out some pieces on here. But for me, it's all of these things that are kind of encapsulated in these green bubbles. And we're going to dive into some of these. So it's uncovering something that's called your money story. We're going to talk about in a minute. Setting a vision for your future, creating these daily goals, being inspired, and easily tracking cash. I think what I love, which we'll go into, but what I love about HoneyBook is it makes it easy to track your money. And I think all of those things, if we can have some easy like systems and plans around our money, that really helps our mindset. It helps us stay focused. And then things like cultivating daily gratitude. We hear that word gratitude a lot, but it's because it's so impactful to our mindset of just thinking, even if you can only think of like a half of a thing that you're grateful for today, it's just something that tells your brain, like, it's okay. We don't have to be in like panic, fear, stressed out mode.
Right.
And then also setting monthly intentions. What are those things that you're going to like positively declare into the day or into the month, and step into those. And these seem like really like simple, basic, foundational things, but the power that they have over your forward movement is literally unbelievable. It's complete life changing. So, and we talk about money mindset, and people are always like, okay, I kind of understand that, but like, what is it, right? And I always say it's this collection of how you think, act, and feel about money. And a lot of us don't even really know. Like, we haven't spent a lot of time. Maybe we know that we either feel negatively about it, or maybe we feel okay about it, but we don't often understand kind of like what's below surface level that's kind of going on, and maybe tripping us up or maybe keeping us stuck. So we're gonna try to move through some of that here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive more into the what is a money mindset. So again, it's shaped by how you were raised, decisions you've made, your outlook on life, friends, family, experiences, so much more. So I always try to think about, and while you're listening, maybe think about this yourself, like jot it down on a piece of paper if you have like a spare piece of paper or you're taking notes. Think about your earliest money memory, if you can remember it. Like, do you remember the first time you ever had a conscious thought around money? I think I was like probably 6 or 7, and having the lemonade stands, and realizing like, okay, oh, if more people come, I make more money, and kind of understanding money in that context.
Totally.
Do you have any early memories around
You know
money?
what? I literally have never tried to do this before, but immediately as you said it in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember. I think I was probably around the same age. Like I was like 5 or 6 or something. And maybe I'd gotten like birthday money or like allowance or some, I don't remember where the money came from, but I remember my mom describing it as burning a hole in my pocket. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase before. Because I was like, when are we going to go to the store? Or like, when are we going? And she's like, wow, that's really burning a hole in your pocket. And I was like, what's that mean? And we had this whole conversation about like what it meant. And yeah, that's my first memory.
I love it. That's such a good story. But like those sorts of things, that's like such a great example. Like it might have left an imprint on you without you really consciously being aware that it was. And then you carry that forward if you've never done that process of really thinking about it. So you carry that forward into your business or into your interactions. And maybe that helps you, maybe it doesn't. You know, it's not all bad things. There's a lot of good things, but it's unearthing these things. But that is like such a great example. I love that.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, if you've never done it, I just take like 10, 15 minutes, like a blank piece of paper, and just start doodling around, like thinking about those money lessons that maybe you've learned or phrases you've heard over and over again, like things that are just sort of repetitively in your head, and just journal them out and look at them. It starts to become super powerful.
Totally.
So we talked about this, right? The like conscious and unconscious. So conscious is easy. We may feel good about money. We may not feel good about money, but it even goes past money. Maybe it's like for your business, maybe you've chosen a certain niche or certain branding or colors or things that resonate with you or who you want to work with. I mean, all of those are conscious money mindset decisions, whether you recognize them or not. And then there are the unconscious. I mean, these obviously are where these are the hard ones, right? So maybe you're not charging what you're worth because of something that you learned in childhood or from a relationship. Maybe you're not taking a risk now that you really know you should because there's this unconscious money mindset bias living inside of you. So we all have these conscious and unconscious money mindset patterns that exist in us. The conscious ones we're not, the conscious ones are good. It's the unconscious ones that we gotta dig up and see, where are these coming from and how are these maybe stopping me from getting where I want to go. So that takes us into, I promise you we're gonna have a good positive slide coming up. This takes us into some of the negative mindset blocks. And these are just like 5 common ones that I hear over and over. And maybe as you're listening, maybe one of these might resonate with you. There's I hate to spend money, so I'm not going to buy that program, or I'm not going to invest in whatever I need to propel my business forward. There's the common, I'm not smart enough, which I fall in that one a lot. Like, I'm not smart enough. Why would they listen to me? I don't want to put myself out there. There's the I'm always broke. So maybe that's the money burning the hole in the pocket. Yeah, right. So a lot of us are like, gosh, I'm running my business, but I'm always broke, or some variation of that. I'm not as good as she is or he is. And the last one I hear a lot is I'm not good at math. So I think a lot of times we avoid wanting to deal with money or talk about money because you feel like you're not good at math. And I just want to say, like, the complete newsflash, like, you do not have to be good at math to be financially doing financially well with your business and having your business in a great place. That again is where like tools like HoneyBook and there's so many tools that you can use to help you to help you if you're really feeling like I just don't know how to deal with numbers.
Yeah.
But these are 5. I mean, there's thousands of them, but these are kind of the 5 common ones where we tend to get stuck the most.
Yeah. I feel like too, off of the I'm not good at math aspect, like that we're totally living in an era right now where entrepreneurship should strictly be about you and your passion. Like, there are so many tools out there. There's really no excuse for you to not love every single day of your work. Like, allow systems to take on the burden of what you're not looking forward to in your day and just get back to doing what you love. So I love that one.
And that's such a good point because I mean that really goes to like speaking to the mindset piece because if you have these tools and you wake up every day and you feel really good about your business and you feel really good about the people you're serving or the products you're creating, all of that just helps you rewire some of these negative mindset blocks. And it's not that they're never going to come up again, because that's just not reality. Like I get stuck in these five all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'll get better and then I'll get stuck again. And I think that's something I really want to talk about too, is that it's okay if you keep getting stuck in the same place. It's okay. Just keep making that daily progress. And that's really where victory comes in. So we talked a little bit about money story. Really understanding where you've come from is this pivotal point to forming a healthy money mindset. And you don't have to pass any judgment about where you've come from. It just is. It just is. It just is, how you've been shaped. But you also have that conscious decision to say, well, maybe I don't believe all of these things, or maybe I need to believe a little bit more of this or that. So you have the power to reshape some of these mindset trends. So again, here's the exercise we teased just a little bit earlier, but I say like set a timer for 20 minutes and write down something I call your money timeline. You can think of it like, a whole sort of continuous line going with arrows at each end, and write everything down that you can consciously think of, like a first lemonade stand, bought my first car, started a business. And then there's always going to be negative things, like maybe you had to close a business or got in debt. When you moved to New York City, and then when you realized, oh, I don't really want to live in New York City, I'm going to
Yeah.
move back to Los Angeles. All of those things, so you can, as business owners, a lot of us, I think, are very visual, right?
Right.
So if we can like visually see our money story like a movie, we can see when there are patterns of these unconscious and conscious money mindset trends. And then we have that decision point of saying, okay, I'm going to make some shifts here, and I'm going to see how then that shows up in my business.
Right.
So here's the positive slide, because we have to get to the positive stuff.
Yeah.
So what are some like positive mindset actions you can do every day? And we talked about some of these already, but the first is obviously, again, these intentional daily goals. And I like to do this in the morning. It's one of the reasons why I put it in the money mindset journal that I created, was one daily goal, just one goal. And it doesn't even have to be money. I mean, right now during quarantine, it could be, I just want to wake up and I just want to feel good. I just want to feel like life is still going to go on, or whatever that is for you. It doesn't have to be anything money related. Also, really taking some time to tap into what are my feelings.
Mhm.
So sounds super obvious, but I think as business owners, we're just like, do, 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 I've got this task, got to talk to this person, be on this webinar, do this, do that. We're really checking in, like, how am I feeling?
Mhm.
And how are those feelings, playing into my money mindset? And then things like, what do I want to learn about? Who can help me? And then one of the most important things is these action steps and focus. And to me, that's really where HoneyBook comes in. It's being able to, for me, like easily create daily focus and daily action so that I can keep my money mindset. I can keep some of those gremlins at bay, and I can keep my money mindset really focused on positivity and on moving forward. So on that note, I would love to pass over to you, Mac,
Totally.
and have you.
Yeah, let me just share some HoneyBook goodness here. So I'm going to highlight the reporting section for us. And I just love the theme throughout this entire webinar too, of just like writing things down and visually giving yourself, something to stand on, like some kind of visual representation of how you're feeling or what your financial situation looks like, or like to just get those unconscious things that are going on in your mind and like that have affected your money decisions. So HoneyBook
Yes.
is no exception to that. We obviously aim to build a product that's like very visually pleasing. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people end up ultimately choosing HoneyBook as a system to use. So I'm showing us the reporting section today. Up here, we have our monthly report bar chart, which is kind of showing your booking success. And this is in our demo account, so you can see we are very successful here. But basically what this would be showing you is your leads, so inquiries divided by people who actually ended up booking with you. So it will be a true percentage inside of your guys' accounts to show you how many people have actually reached out or essentially entered the HoneyBook system, and then track that. So really important here that you're utilizing the HoneyBook contact form as well. That's kind of a pro tip if you're not using it already. Definitely want to make sure that's installed on your website so that all of your inquiries through that contact form will funnel directly into your HoneyBook account. And then you can get a really true idea of that success rate. And again, just letting a tool kind of control this aspect for you, because this is one of those things that it's like, this should not be a task that you're having to enter into an Excel doc, or, I mean, honestly, I don't even know how to use Excel. I would have to take an Excel course. I would have to input all this information. I would have to learn how to run reports, and it still probably wouldn't even be this pretty. So let a system take this off your plate. This is showing us how many files have been booked each month versus sent out. So it's showing you proposals versus invoices, files total, and files booked. So this is really helpful information here. And this will show you year over year as well. I'm just showing us 2018 because it looked like the most realistic year that I could show. And it'll show you ebbs and flows of different months too. So you know that June and October are big months for you. So maybe that's a time when that kind of insight will really help you. Maybe that's where you decide to throw more of your marketing budget, or that's where you can kind of pull back your marketing a little bit because you know organically you have this great success in June and October. So just having those kind of insights, I think, really help too. Shannah, do you think there's anything else that you could see using this report for in terms of mindset?
No, I just think, the beauty of it is that visually you can see what's going on very easily. And I think, again, for mindset, like if we can just make things easy, if we can make things visual, if we can know where we're at,
Right.
those are like super important in just knowing our numbers, keeping our mindset really focused on, the task at hand.
Totally. Yeah. And that kind of brings me to the next report too, which this one, if I was running my own business and using HoneyBook, this would be where I would come all the time, just because I feel like keeping track of payments is just such a daunting task. Like, personal finance is one thing, but knowing your cash flow in general is just like so hard to keep track of. And when you have an invoicing tool like HoneyBook that's kind of managing this relationship between client and payment for you, so that awkward conversation, we have, like, again, getting back to that mindset, right? Like, it's awkward to ask someone to pay you. Like, I actually do some copywriting on the side, and I've had to have some awkward conversations with clients who are like, "Oh, did you bill me for that phone call?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did. Like, of course I did. I bill by the hour. What do you mean?" Like, there's all these awkward conversations that contribute time and time again to this mindset. So if you have a program that's just invoicing for you like this, kind of getting off track here, but this report, I think, is just really helpful because it's showing you your collected payments versus your outstanding payments. And then once those outstanding payments inevitably come through, your total value of bookings. So, and you can filter this by time frame. I kind of did it from an all-time perspective, just for the sake of the numbers here. But if you just wanted to see, for example, June up here is obviously a great month for you. So if you just wanted to check out your June earnings alone, you could easily just filter to those dates and then be able to see, how many projects that was and the value of those bookings, as well as refunds too. So maybe there's, obviously we're in a completely unprecedented time for business right now. Maybe there's refunds or cancellations or collected and non-collected payments that having this report is really beneficial to tap into. And then we also have our lead sources down here. So again, this is kind of showing the value of installing that contact form onto your website. You can track lead source directly through there and basically ask your clients, how did you hear about us? And then when they enter that information into the system, HoneyBook is going to track it all for you. So again, this is kind of tapping into more, I think, of maybe some marketing budgets, but also just giving you some peace of mind around, how successful are you being on social media or with industry referrals, client referrals? Is that a really powerful lead source for you? That's amazing. That means that you're giving your clients a really, really positive experience to you, to the point where 86% of your leads last year were coming from client referrals, like feeding into that positive mindset about you're doing well, like you're okay, like this is success, or Facebook, your big Facebook budget that you invested last year, it worked, like that was a good thing. So I think this lead source report really helps with some of that too. And then obviously you can look at lead value and distribution and things like that as well over a certain period of time. So I always like to show those reports. I think that was pretty much all I wanted to show in HoneyBook on the action side of things, Shannah. So I think I'm going to pass back to you.
Perfect.
The rest of your slides here.
Let me just share real quick.
Yeah, totally. And if you guys later, when we're hopping into the working session, we'll go through how to get lead sources and contact form and all that kind of stuff figured out too. So if that's something that is interesting to you, definitely hop onto that Zoom call at the end here.
Yeah, and I think what you were just talking about, Mac, was like, knowing where your revenue is coming from is really important. That sort of takes us right into I call them my 3 A's for my money mindset rules. And it's awareness, which that piece is, the HoneyBook piece is. So it's having awareness of lots of things, not only your money mindset blocks and the lies that might come up with you, or patterns or feelings, but it's awareness too of what's going on in my business. How am I feeling? So awareness is really, it's all encompassing of a lot of different things, right? It's having this awareness of what's going on and how is the money mindset stopping me or propelling me forward. But then we got to have some action. So if we look at our numbers, and let's say we did that big ad spend in Facebook, and maybe it didn't work out so well for us, maybe we take the action then of going like, okay, I'm going to choose to allocate my money differently. And that's going to be a positive mindset for me, because I'm going to go, okay, it's okay. It didn't work out so well. I'm going to put my money here. Or maybe it did work out well, and we're going to take action and we're going to step even further into that without fear. So action can be just little things. Again, we can just focus on like that one step a day, but taking that action. And then the last one is applause, which we all tend to leave that one out, but that's being grateful. It's the gratitude I talked about. It's thinking about the awesome things like this webinar, like when you're thinking about at the end of the night, like what are the awesome things that happened today?
Yeah.
I was learned about money mindset and sort of opened my own mind up. But what are those awesome things? They can be tiny, they can be big, but really applauding yourself for where you're at, regardless of whether you feel like you're stuck in the mud right now or you're moving forward, because the applause, again, it's going to trick your brain into saying, okay, we did this today. We got through today. We're going to move on to tomorrow.
Right.
So those are my 3 A's.
I love it. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Yes. And then I want to talk about just some best practices. So the orange bubbles are things that I do myself. Obviously, having both a business and a personal cash tracker. I'm not a huge fan of the word budget, because so many of us have like a negative mindset trap around budget.
Yeah.
So I like cash tracker because, one of the number one rules with money is it's not how much you save, but it's where you spend your money. So if you can look at where your money's going and you can maybe find places to allocate it better, more efficiently, or to earn more money, that's going to help you all around. I also set weekly money dates. So on Sundays, I do 10 to 20 minutes where I'm looking over business numbers, looking over personal numbers, and I'm looking forward to the week. I'm kind of setting, goals, and that really helps my mindset stay in a place that is positive, because I feel like I'm putting myself back in the driver's seat, which is really important. And then, of course, visioning and goal planning. And the only thing I'm going to say about visioning is now is not the time to stop visualizing your future. Now is the time, create a vision, get your vision board out. Like, let's do all of that because it's so important. And then how I actually use HoneyBook, a lot of the things you just talked about, like the bookkeeping and reports, absolutely huge. Tasks and time tracker. I love the time tracker because I can be kind of all over the place in my little like entrepreneurial brain. So that's really important for me. And batch emailing is like a life save for me. So those are like 3 of my favorite tools that I use HoneyBook for. And all of that combined really helps keep my mindset in a place where it's not that the gremlins don't come up, but it's that I feel like I have some tools and systems in place to put me in the best position to deal with those. So I would love, I know you got a couple other amazing HoneyBook things to talk about.
Yeah, totally. I feel like one thing that we maybe haven't even quite like dug into super deep yet is just the idea of like the importance of online payments. Like I know on the client side, when I'm talking to people either trying to make the decision to come on board to a product like HoneyBook, or people who have just started, transitioning their process into HoneyBook, there's a lot of hesitation about online payments.
Yes.
Sometimes it's around actually a positive mindset because, well, I've been successful for, some odd amount of years, not taking online payments. So why do I do it now? Or, or sometimes it's just a negative mindset around processing fees. Like, is this something that's worth taking on? I always come back to the same kind of examples. Like now, again, everything is online. We're all like, I buy 90% of what I purchase online personally. Granted, I live in a big city, and I mean, now we're all in quarantine too. Like, of course we're buying stuff online. Like I'm not going to Target, So it's like everybody is transitioning more, I think, now than ever to this idea of online payments and electronic. You're not going to meet with somebody in person and hand over a piece of paper. You're not necessarily going to put something in the mail. Let a system like HoneyBook manage that for you. Get rid of any kind of obscure paper trail that's floating out somewhere with the US Post Office or in your desk drawer, or now you have to go to the bank to deposit it or whatever. So let a system like HoneyBook take that stress of that financial conversation between you and your clients off your plate. Let that not even be a conversation that needs to be had. It's just online. HoneyBook is sending the payment reminders for you. Again, that's how that reporting section is going to give you all of that clarity and all of those insights. So just moving into an era where you have more of a visual representation of your financial situation, and allowing your clients to not have to have that really kind of, because it does feel really personal when you have to have a conversation with somebody. It sounds like you owe me money, and that has such a it's such a bad feeling, and you shouldn't feel that way because you earned it. You're working for somebody. So let that conversation not need to be had anymore. And honestly, at this point too, I think processing fees are really just a cost of doing business, to just take that on. And if that means too, like we've been talking about too, maybe that means raising your prices. Maybe that means raising your prices by 5%. Is that going to stop someone from booking you 5%? Probably not. You know your value, show up, do the work. You know that you're worth that. That's not going to be the deciding factor between someone booking with you or not booking with you. So raise those prices. And then at the end of the year, you don't even see a difference in your income. So this is one of my topics that I could talk about all day, Shannah. I know you've got your, this is mine.
I love it. I love it. No, because like what you're addressing here with you're addressing like a couple of things, like keep your business simple. Keep it simple. Don't have everything all over the place. And keeping it simple helps your mindset stay in a place that is focused.
Yeah.
And then also you brought up like some of those common mindset traps that we fall into, of just, oh, do I bill for this? Do I not bill for this? Do I, all of those things that we tend to overthink, but we're business owners. And if we've provided a service, we should get paid for it. I mean, there's just, it's at the end of the day, it's a business. And so Yeah, I love the idea of gift cards. I think it's just so brilliant too.
Yeah,
Just to be able to, especially now, offer them. It's just so
right.
people are like in the mode of A, wanting to support small businesses, but B, I mean, look, we've got Mother's Day coming up and Father's Day coming up, and
Yeah.
I think offering gift cards is just awesome.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that was the huge motivator between us launching this feature. So if you guys listening on aren't aware, HoneyBook launched a gift cards feature, which we'll be going through a little bit more in the working session afterwards too. And I can just quickly show it actually, so you guys can get a quick little glimpse into what I'm talking about. But the gift cards feature, essentially the way it works is you set it up to either be value or service based. And then once you kind of get in there, it looks pretty similar to the brochure in terms of how you're setting it up. If you guys are familiar with that feature, we have content blocks, so you can add additional content blocks. And then basically the gift card section looks like this, and you can replace the image in the background. You can replace all of this text. And then when you send it out to your clients, it gives them the ability to essentially inquire that they want a gift card with you, and it'll create a project. And then when they go to ultimately book later on, you can easily apply the gift card from your end. So it'll kind of save as like a value that they can tap into, or rather that you can tap into on their behalf when they're going to book with you. So yeah, I mean, super powerful. We'll go into that more in the working session because I know we're getting kind of close to time here. So yeah, if you guys want to stick around, we can dive into more of getting that set up in your own accounts. And then Shannah, I think we just have the last couple little slides there on your side too to go through.
Okay.
And I know for this last part, I think we really want to make this interactive for you guys too. So definitely utilize that chat over there on the right-hand side. And like we've been talking about too, one of the things that makes this so powerful is when we're all talking together. Like when we talk to each other, like, I mean, even just in planning this webinar and talking to Shannah, I've gotten like so much value out of what we've been discussing. So, allow yourself the opportunity to have that conversation with your community. And
There are no bad questions. There's no judgment. This is a no judgment zone. This is
yes,
just a bunch of friends having conversations. So
exactly,
yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to wrap it up real quick. Can you see my slides, Mac?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to wrap it up really quick. There's this quote that I love. If you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. Which, if you think about this quote, it's really powerful. And it really just says, like, you have power to change things. Right now, we talk about there are things you can't change, but there are things that you can change. And one of the things you can change is this mindset piece. And it doesn't have to be a big sweeping change, but we talk about owning the moment. So think about, like, what is one negative money mindset trap you can release right now? What's one thing that you can let go of today and just say, okay, for today, for right now, I am releasing this. And then on the flip side, what is one positive thing you can do today to harness a positive money mindset? Maybe it's as simple as, I enjoy going for walks, or doing yoga, or, hanging out with my cat, whatever it is, what is one positive thing? Or maybe it's like, I see the power of seeing where my money's going with something like HoneyBook. Like, maybe I just need to take the first step in setting something like that up, just that one little step. So really thinking about these two things today. What's one thing you can release? And what's one positive money mindset step that you can harness today that's going to help you move forward towards your goals? Because I want nothing more than just everybody listening to feel super empowered that you do not have to stay trapped, and you do not have to get hung up in those, I'm not good enough, or I can't possibly charge that, or this person's doing something better. You have value, and your message needs to be heard by people. They need to hear what you have to say or what you're selling. So if we can get the mindset refocused, all of us have value, and we're all amazing. We need to share our messages.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of what negative money mindset I would be. I feel like I just never know where all my money is. Like, I'm like, okay, I have like, you've got credit cards over here, you've got a bank account over here. And so one thing that's really helped me just in personal finance has been setting up my Intuit Mint account.
Yes.
Know my cash in and my cash out, and to train that system to learn how I spend. And then you can set goals through there, and it does all these projections for you and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of great tools like that. There's one called You Need a Budget that I use a lot. There's an app called Clarity Money, which is really great
Oh
for
yeah,
your personal money. If you're just sort of new to, really tracking your money, it's a real easy one. It also shows you areas of opportunity where maybe you're overspending or ways you could cut some of your expenses. But all of that, like what you're speaking to, I mean, that all is cultivating this healthy money mindset, because rather than keeping, the blinders on, you're saying, I'm going to intentionally see where my money's going.
yeah,
And that intentionality helps you avoid some of those moments of panic. I mean, you're still going to have moments. Money's still going to stress us out. There's no magic fix.
yeah.
But I think understanding the way the mindset plays into it is really the secret sauce and the missing piece for a lot of us.
Yeah. I feel like nobody really talks about that either. So I'm really glad to have you here. And I'm so excited about the Money Mindset Journal.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
want to open it up to questions too. I know the chat has been open over there, but if you guys have any questions for Shannah, she will not be in the working session at 11:15. That'll just be me and a couple other HoneyBookers. So if you have Shannah specific money mindset questions, definitely get those out to her now. And Shannah, I want to give you the opportunity to share like where people can find you on the World Wide Web. Where should we be subscribing?
Yeah. So right now, if you're interested, if you like this money mindset concept, the Money Mindset Journal is available on Kickstarter until June 4th, and I will just type in the URL in the chat. But you can also find me at my podcast, Millennial Money, which is literally on every podcast platform. So you can find me there, and I would love to have you. Like I said, we talk about all different aspects of money.
Yeah.
So you can pop in and hear an episode about a musician, and you can pop in and hear an episode about tracking your cash and things like that. So we have just all different types of content there. Please do, if you watch this, please, feel free to email me. I put the email in the slides. I am more than accessible. There are no bad questions. And again, on Instagram, I'm just at Shannah Game. So you can find me there. I do a lot of different money concepts and a lot of talk about money mindset. So if this topic is intriguing you, you'll definitely want to go over there. And I realize I just spelled my link wrong, so my bad.
We'll fix it.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's so helpful just to have like, if you feel like you're not someone who's good with like the topic of money or the topic of finance, like introducing resources into your life, like a Shannah, or like, even if you have like people in your life who you're like, they seem so good with money, like open that conversation, like open those doors, have those conversations with people, and like get those resources into your life, like subscribe to those news feeds, add those people to your Instagram following, and like have that be a consistent reminder in your daily, apps that you're using, in your email inbox, subscribe to those newsletters, that kind of thing, and get that in front of your face, because again, it's going to be helping change that mindset and get some of that more positive aspect going on.
I'm going for 3 times the charm on my link there. Let's talk about mindset right now, right? The mind's all over the place.
Oh my gosh, that's so perfect.
But yeah, I mean, this is just, I think, I really want to just celebrate everyone who has tuned in. You guys are rock stars, because This is not an easy subject. Anytime we talk about money, but especially when we're diving into like the mindset and blocks and we're having to think about some of these things, it's not always the easiest thing. So you guys are just all, complete rock stars for being here, for tackling it. And even if you just baby step into it a little bit starting today, I can't 100% guarantee you, but I can pretty close to 100% guarantee you that you're going to start seeing some changes in how you feel in your business, in your direction.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I think we're at time here. Shannah, this has been so awesome.
Thank you so much, Mac.
No surprises. We love you so much. And thank you for taking your time out of your schedule to come and teach everyone and just give your information to this crowd of people. And then just a reminder for everybody, the working session will be starting in about 15 minutes here. I think she posted the link above. So if you scroll all the way up to the top of the chat, the link is in there and it'll just be a Zoom call and we'll start work there. But Shannah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This has been so great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye, guys.